Savage Joy here with Real Progressives. Let me just add my name here because when I go solo, it never shows up. Um, so anyway, sorry, it's been about a week since I've been on. I had my 40th birthday last week, which was fun, thankfully, because of my amazing friends. And Tuesday, I started a new job, so that was exciting. So the past week has just been insane. Um, so, I was unemployed for 2 months, which a lot of people are unemployed longer than that, but the when you're unemployed, it sucks because looking for a job is a full-time job. I mean, it is. um by the time you fill out applications and you send resumes, and so many of them want you to take those like personality tests where it's like, how would you describe yourself? More likely to do this, less likely to do this, about as likely to do this. And like, they're like 100 questions at least. And you're like, should I be honest? Should I not be honest? And then they're like, rate these in order of importance. And it was like, ethics, morals, and I'm like, oh, these are all the fucking same thing. I don't know. And it makes you so insecure. You're like, I don't even know if this is, what they want. I'm just gonna answer somewhat honestly and hope that it's okay. So anyway, so I got offered a job and it was like shit pay, and I turned it down. And then I went through, oh my God, why did I do that? What if I don't get another offer? It's always those, you go back and forth. And especially turning 40 last week, I was like, I'm turning 40 and I'm laid off. I need a job. Like, this is awful. So thankfully I got one, and I started Tuesday. It's been going quite well. Everyone's been, nice to me and been good with like helping me, learn and things like that. I'm still in healthcare. So I'm doing what I'm been doing in a way, but now I'm an analyst. So I do get healthcare at my new employer. However, I'm staying with my husband for now because we already met our like $5,000 deductible because of my surgeries. So I'd rather just ride this out for the rest of the year just because we already met it. So it's saving us money now with my doctor appointments and things like that since we've already met it. Thanks, guys. So it's cool. It's nice to get back to work because I was getting, you think you're like, oh my God, when you're working full time, oh, I wish I didn't have to work today. Oh my God, there's so much shit I want to get done. And then I was laid off and I was like, stir crazy. I just couldn't stand being home anymore. I was going bananas. So I am so thankful that I got back to work. So anyway, I digress. But, something that, of course, was weighing heavily on my mind was a federal job guarantee. And I think about that quite a bit, even before I got laid off. It's so important to not just people like myself who were laid off, but also to people who get fired. I mean, if you let's say you get fired. I was let go from a job a few years back, and it was because they wanted us to get like, X amount of cases processed a day, and it was totally not feasible. And they raised the quota, and you're doing like nurse reviews, even though you're not a nurse. And it was just so, I made it over 3 years, and then finally they just kept raising the expectations, and I'm like, this shit ain't working. So I did get let go because of productivity from that job. And I was there like so upset, because I'm like, all you have to say is, when you applied, did you ever get fired? Well, technically, yes, but it doesn't say anything that, for over 3 years, I was there every damn day. I worked my ass off, and I was well liked by my bosses. It doesn't say anything about that. All it says is, were you let go? Yes, I was. So, and like I said, that was a couple years ago, but it just, and of course I fucking lied on the new application. I'll just keep it real. Have you ever been let go? No. I try, I hope no one in my office is watching this. But I try semantics. Like, I'll be like when I was like, go there, because of the raise in expectations, our office went from like 152 people to 57 people. That's the truth. It really did. So when I'm asked, why did you leave there? I'm like, oh, they cut back so many people. That's not really a lie. So, there's certain ways to get around it sometimes if they don't request you expand. But in any case, the federal job guarantee would help people who are in those kinds of situations. You were let go, but not because of doing a poor job necessarily. I needed 100% of production, and I had 96. Seriously. But all they see is, yes, I was let go. Like, that's, and you feel like you're making excuses and stuff. It's like, no, call them like that is what happened. So you take a federal job guarantee and you take all that nonsense out. Yes, you still have to apply for jobs. Yes, you still look for jobs. But at the end of the day, the federal government is required to get you a job if you are looking for a job. Like, it's that simple. So another good thing about it is, let's say all these, especially people of color, who are locked up for like a bag of weed, and they're locked up for 15 years. Okay, now they want to get out. They're good people. They get out. Have you ever been incarcerated? Sorry. You want to start over and get a new job? Tough shit. That's the kind of shit that the federal job guarantee would help combat. Another thing about the federal job guarantee, let's take homeless people. A lot of them want a job, but they can't. How do you get started? How, they don't have a place to live. They don't have a place they can shower and clean up to even go get an interview. They may not even have internet to get, to find out who's looking. All these things. Well, federal job guarantee, they will help you. So anyway, there's a lot of good reasons for a federal job guarantee. Also, one of the biggest things environmentally is we have so many things, and recovering addicts, absolutely great point. We have so many things green wise. We need new infrastructure. We want to go solar and wind and things like this. Well, how does that get done? Well, what you can do is create a federal job guarantee. Now, all of a sudden, the federal government actually has to give people jobs. So what do? They give people jobs in green energy and infrastructure and things like that. That way, we can create millions of jobs and, get people off the streets, get people out of jail, get people back on their feet. all while bettering the environment. It's such a no-brainer to me. And I also want to say that while this is something so many candidates I've interviewed as far as local and state hugely support federal job guarantee, there's only one presidential candidate who does, Bernie. That's it. No, Tulsi does not support it. Why? I don't fucking know. But she said she doesn't. What's not true? So anyway, so Bernie has federal job guarantee on his platform. That's huge. He also has Stephanie Kelton as his economic advisor. So that's really amazing because she knows her shit. So well, no, absolutely. They will have a lot of community oriented and locally based jobs. Absolutely. One of the cool things that's going to be a lot of people who do volunteer work is they're going to be able to get paid for it then. And, you know, people are going to be able to be entrepreneurs. You want to start your own business, you don't have the capital. Okay, federal job guarantee. Now you can start your own business. So there's so many different, you know, perks or so many reasons it's advantageous. But yeah, somebody put Stephanie Kelton's link. Thank you, Trisha. And no, Tulsi does not, Jenna. You're correct. I'm not sure why. Somebody told me, now I haven't been able to verify this, but somebody told me that she was either misconstruing, or I'm not sure what the problem was, but that she believes it means you are bound to stay at your job by the federal government. I'm not really sure why she would think that. So I'm not sure if that's accurate, but someone told me that the other day, which is certainly not the case. So if she thinks that, I hope she does more research, because that's not true. But anyway, so yes, you know, as far as jobs go, this is something that should be on way more than one person's platform. There's going to be a lot of, you know, with 24 candidates, there's going to be a lot of people trying to copy. They already are. Unfortunately, someone I cannot stand, Miss Elizabeth Warren, is, you know, getting props for stealing Bernie's positions on things. And, oh, she's so, you know, progressive, and she's so amazing for coming up with these things. She didn't. You know, taxing millionaires and billionaires. Oh, there's not, you know, dude named Bernie who's been saying that shit for decades. Warren bothers me for a lot of reasons. She, and honestly, the more people call her progressive, the more I loathe her, because she's not. Some of the reasons, let's see, walked back Medicare for all, has a close relationship with Israel, and is disrespectful of Palestinians. She, let's see, she voted for Trump's $717 billion war budget increase. Yeah, Trisha, I was just going to get to that too. You know, Warren had a couple posts where she was not saying she wanted to stop war and she was not against war. She was saying we need to make wars more green, more climate friendly. So instead of, you know, using this kind of fighter jet, we can, you know, invest in something more, you know, like I'm not even kidding. You can see this shit on my Twitter page. She's literally tweeting about how to be greener when you bomb people. Oh, Rebecca, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. I'll have to look that up. It's really interesting. I'd like to read that. Yeah, Warren was a Republican until her late 50s. She still has Republican tendencies. She voted for Reagan. And it took her a really long time to admit that, which I kind of don't blame her. She has absolutely no backbone. Trump was being xenophobic and racist and everything else, and she bowed down to him and said, yeah, you know what? I will take the DNA test. I will take it. Why didn't she say, you know what? Fuck you. My DNA is none of your business. You don't know me. Shut up. You're a pig. Go to hell. Instead, she bent over and said, okay, I'm going to take this. And it was an epic fail. She looked like an ass and she looked weak. And she's never going to live that down. So when I think about that, I think about her on the debate stage with Trump. He will destroy her. I mean, destroy. Because he has the upper hand. Green imperialism. What else? Let's see. Well, she ditched Bernie and voted for, endorsed Hillary. That's a pretty big sign. People love to say she's tough on Wall Street. Well, that's certainly the projection she gave before 2016. But when you don't endorse someone who's been tough on Wall Street for decades and you endorse the queen of Wall Street, they don't fear you anymore. Stop kidding yourselves. She's a joke. And she's taken countless corporate donations. She met with corporate donors before she announced. She met with Hillary in January. She hired all of Hillary's presidential staff because that went so well. Everything about her is so fake. And every time I call her a neolib or something like that, I just get jumped on. She's progressive. She's not what the hell's progressive about her? She says she'll take corporate money if she wins the general. She walked back Medicare for all. She doesn't do shit for criminal justice. She doesn't even talk about this shit. No, she's not progressive. She's progressively Republican, something like that. But no, I will not vote for her. Now, my problem is that a lot of people are really, really getting on me for saying this. But I'm telling you, I feel in my gut, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm telling you, and I'm not the only person that feels this way. I'm telling you, I feel like AOC is going to endorse Warren. I just feel it. I fucking feel it. And I've said that for over a month. And while I've said that over a month, they've been doing more and more videos together about, Game of Thrones. And it's just been absolutely pathetic. AOC is worshipped by so many people. It's actually really gross. It's gross. Anyone who's worshipped, they say Bernie bros are worshipers. Yeah, there are some, and that's gross too. But my God, you say anything about AOC and people go batshit crazy. Well, here's the thing. I started distrusting AOC a few months back. I opened up for her at a speaking event. We both spoke at an event in New York City. I had her on my show. I had nothing against her. I liked her. I wanted her to win. However, what I watched since she was elected is the day after she was elected, she gave an interview where they said, will you vote for the Democratic 2020 nominee regardless? And Alexandria said yes. And the woman said, even if it's Hillary Clinton. And she said, absolutely. Excuse me? Okay, strike one. That was a day after she was elected. Things like that. It was the thing that really just 5 days after she protested Nancy Pelosi, she endorsed her. And people say, well, she wasn't running against anyone else. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not complaining because she voted for her. I'm saying she endorsed her. What the hell was the point of that? Why do you need to endorse her? No one's running against her. For what? For what? Why did she need to say, I endorse Nancy Pelosi because why? She didn't need to. I mean, it was crazy that I was just like, she really just endorsed her 5 days ago, or she really just protested her 5 days ago, and now she's endorsing her. So that, I mean, I was just like, whoa, who are you? And my fear when she did that was that Nancy Pelosi was then going to pull back this, I'm interested in doing more things, more green things. The second she endorsed her, Pelosi nixed that shit. Like, it was such an epic fail. She had the upper hand. And she just, she just gave in. She said, okay, I endorse her. Some people say it's a learning experience. I don't know. Maybe. But I don't know. I'm telling you, I just feel it in my gut. She's more like Warren than she is like Bernie. She campaigned more like Bernie. She was more like Bernie. But she's capitulating towards the center in some senses. AOC just last month voted for some 40-year fracking oil gas thing, and I forget the damn bill number, but it was last month rather, and the news didn't have shit on it. There was an article that was going around Twitter. Tulsi and AOC voted for it. And it was, I want to say it was the UK, but it was a vote about extending gas and fracking for another 40 years. And it went under the radar. So, and that was lucky for her and Tulsi, that it went under the radar. But they, words don't mean shit. Like, they don't. I mean, they're nice. And if your words, back up your actions, awesome. And even if you say, look, I shouldn't have done that, I fucked up, now I'm going to do, or I should have, and now if I'm approached with that again, I will, anything, show you're growing. I welcome change. That's awesome. We all have work to do on ourselves. But I'm telling you, I feel it in my gut. And you know what? If I am wrong, I hope I'm wrong. If I am, seriously, come at me, call me names, tell me to shut up. I don't give a fuck. It'll be worth it. I don't care. She didn't get in that, the green, I'm trying to read this. If AOC didn't endorse Pelosi, it keeps moving. She would not have gotten into the committees she wanted. She's not in them. She's literally not in those committees. So it didn't matter. And no, she didn't have to endorse her. She could have voted for her. There was no other option. I didn't expect her to, not vote, but I didn't expect her to sit there and say, I endorse Pelosi. I also didn't expect her to start cheering on Cuomo in New York after he insulted her, berated her, and everything else. She gave him like a heartful endorsement. What the fuck? I could understand if she would say even, the alternative Republican is blah, 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 and allude to it. But she legit endorsed him days after he was condescending and just so disgusting towards her. Yeah, I have a problem with that. So no, I do not trust her. Yes, HR 1616. Thank you. You rock, Jenna. So yeah, I'm like, we were there in 2016. Thousands of us called Warren's office, emailed her, wrote her letters. I'm not kidding. Thousands of us. We had an actual movement. This was, this was something we worked on. Like, I'm telling you, there were thousands of us. And what did she do? She didn't do shit anyway. She waited. We literally lost Massachusetts by a handful of votes. It was a fraction of a point. If she would have endorsed Bernie, we would have won that. And it would have changed everything because we would have gotten a lot of women vote. So, it could have made a huge difference in our campaign. That, and it's a lot of maybes. I get that, but for anyone that's a Bernie supporter, I cannot tell you the stab in the heart it was to have her just ignore our pleas and never open up her mouth about Bernie. It was awful. So yeah, I'm wary. And yeah, I don't trust AOC either. Because just because it makes sense and just because it would be awful for her career if she didn't, does not mean that. I mean, people don't always think that way. Like Pelosi, if AOC endorsed Bernie, Pelosi will have an aneurysm, which I'm okay with. But she would literally lose her shit. And that's one of the reasons I think AOC will endorse Warren, because they know Warren will be, totally non-progressive, and that's what they want. And then they'll get a woman. But yeah, I mean, also Warren completely ignored Standing Rock. There's so many reasons why I cannot stand her. The one of the things that just blows my mind is people compare Warren to Bernie, and I don't see it. I don't at all. Cheers, Colin. That's awful. I hope karma doesn't exist. Yeah, I mean, if AOC does endorse Warren, she won't get reelected. People will literally lose their shit. So I think she has a big decision to make. Do I anticipate we'd hear anything before at least Super Tuesday? Fuck no. Now, my concern is this. Some people feel like, who cares? It's a single, excuse me. It's a single endorsement. Who cares? Well, here's the thing. Excuse me. Okay, kids, sorry about that. Takes a lot to embarrass me, but yeah. So anyway, so there's a few things that bother me about her endorsing Warren instead of Bernie. It's a total, it's total hypocrisy, first of all. And well, let's see, Warren stood for America will never be a socialist country. I'm capitalist to my bones. Um, things like that. And it's like DSA endorsed Bernie and AOC. So, Jane, a lot of people do want, excuse me, excuse me. On that note, what's happening? Bernie and Warren, I'd be heartbroken. I would be heartbroken. Excuse me. Because, first of all, they're nothing alike. He can't get, I feel like she would try to get him to go more center. Like, she wouldn't be working on behalf of our movement and on behalf of what we've tried to build. She would be, she'd be totally have different motives. I don't know. I don't know. I would still love Bernie. I would still vote for Bernie, but we'd get a divorce because I'd be pissed. I mean, I would be pissed. And a lot of people think, I'm burning turn 2020, you betcha. A lot of people seem to, I think they're just convincing themselves. There is nothing that has ever been said or transpired to make me think this. But some people really think that Warren is going to endorse Bernie and give her delegates to him. Now, so you're saying that someone who didn't endorse him last time is going to suddenly drop out, endorse him, and give all her delegates to him this time. What? Come on now. Some people have banana ideas. Like, they're just crazy. So, and a lot of people still think, so anyway, before I digress again, one of the downsides to, well, let's put it this way. If AOC endorsed Bernie, we would absolutely get more votes. And there's a few reasons for that. Our country loves identity politics. First of all, you got a Latina and a woman and the youngest person to ever be in the House. You've got someone who's on the news 24/7. So there's that. There's name recognition. So there's that. It would help us in that regard. For all the, the resistors who are like, I'm not voting for anyone unless they have a vagina, and, so that'd be good at least. The other way that it would help us is that resistors absolutely loathe Bernie, but they absolutely love Alexandria. Whatever, but it's true. It depends who's saying the message, essentially. Listen to the message with your eyes closed. It's all good. Find out it's Bernie. He ran against Hillary, that bastard. So you take the resistors who loathe Bernie but love AOC. You take AOC who would endorse Bernie. We can win some of their votes. They're that simple-minded. I absolutely believe that we could win some of their votes that way. I also believe that Warren may drop if Bernie got the endorsement and she didn't. Warren's been polling at like 7%. Not that polls are everything, but you know what I mean. And lately people have been praising her like she's the second coming. And I really don't understand why. So anyway, the downside to her endorsing Warren, which along with hypocrisy and just complete bullshit, would be that there are so many people who are torn between Bernie and Warren. Why? I don't fucking know, but there are. So you take people who are torn between the two of them, and AOC endorses this one. This is who's going to get their vote. Guarantee it. So my fear is it absolutely could cost us the election. Absolutely. And this is our last chance for Bernie. So I ain't fucking around. People are jumping on me and the others saying, she needs to endorse. She needs to endorse Bernie. I mean, period. Even if you don't like Bernie, it's the principle. It's who'd you work for in 2016? Who inspired you to run for the House in 2018? Who went state to state with you in 2018? Like, the fact that we are even questioning her loyalty makes me uneasy. Like I said, I really hope I'm wrong. I really, really, really hope I'm wrong. But the people, so many people feel so sure. She would never do that. Well, I'm not trying to be duped again. I want to be prepared. I'd rather get worked up over nothing for a few months than be completely shocked and betrayed down the line. So that's mainly, it will hurt our votes. I am still going to vote for Bernie regardless whether she endorses him or not, because AOC is just simply not that important to me to weigh who I vote for. But other people aren't so strong in, their decision. And I don't know if you guys are, aren't very knowledgeable about the way that it's set up this time, but it's really set up against progressives. Like it was bad in 2016, but this, this time around, we need 50% plus 1% to get the nomination. We don't get that. We have to go to the convention. At the convention, the superdelegates get to pick who they want. And the superdelegates have already said, we will kneecap Bernie. So even if he has the most votes, they already said. So don't worry, I'm going there to protest. I did in 2016. I will be there in 2020. That is a promise. I don't care if I have to walk to Milwaukee. I'm going. That's a given. So yeah, they already said they're going to kneecap him. Now, if we need 50% plus 1% to get there, they actually configured it that because of how many people are running right now, you have to get at least 15% of the vote to even get a single delegate. So you take, there's 24 people running. I mean, 24 people, some people are going to get like 5 votes. It's not going to matter. But, even just take the so-called big ones. So you take Biden, you take Bernie, you take Warren, you take Buttigieg, you take Beto, you take Kamala, you take Klobuchar, and Tulsi. Okay, so there's 8. Okay, so even divide 8 into 100, you're still ain't gonna get 15%. So it's like we're fucked. We are fucked. Well, Jeffrey, I really hope a lot of people do drop off after Iowa. Kirsten Gillibrand was actually on Twitter today asking for help because she announced 3 months ago, but she still hasn't made it to the damn debate stage. Can you just drop off? I mean, come on. Are you serious? She still hasn't pulled above 1%. There are two ways to get on. You need to get on the debate stage, regardless. You have to have over 65,000 individual contributions, individual donations. So like 65,000 people need to separately donate. It could be $1. It doesn't matter. But 65,000. And you need to be above 2% in at least 2 polls. How is that hard? We made millions the day we announced. I mean, I don't understand how that's hard. But Kirsten Gillibrand still hasn't made it. If you can't get above 2% in the poll, you need to drop. Like, there are people giving their money to this woman thinking she has a chance. It's crazy. Yeah, you know what, Cindy? That's a great point. How many of those that drop will support Bernie? Probably none. But here's the thing about that. It doesn't necessarily matter if those who drop support Bernie. What matters is that they're not cutting into our votes. That's what matters. Right now, Warren is cutting into our votes, and she needs to go because she's not even progressive, but for some reason she is cutting into our votes. And I mean, I don't want anyone cutting into Bernie's votes because this is our last chance. Like, we have one more chance. We can either stand with the man who's been on the right side of history for 40 years, or we can vote for someone because they're female, even though they're not against wars and all that fun stuff. To me, if we back down now, we went through the past 4 years for nothing. We escaped Hillary. Yeah, we got Trump, which sucks, but we escaped Hillary. We escaped having a warmonger neolib, cheating, lying asshole as a Dem. We escaped that. Why do we want it now? What was the point of Trump then? It's like nothing, we've gained nothing. We're back to brunch. We're back to business as usual. We need to actually progress. We need it progressive. We need to, what's all the talk of Medicare for all if you're going to vote for someone who doesn't support it? Bernie is, he passed the only legislation in history to stop a war that a president started without congressional approval, which was Yemen. I mean, he knows what needs to be done. He also talked about ranked choice voting. He supports it. That is huge for progressives, for independents, for Greens. This is what we need. He wants to legalize marijuana. He wants to let all the people of color who have been locked up for no damn reason and take it off their records. And he also wants to end cash bail. He came out with that amendment a few months ago. Not a single other candidate has signed. Ending cash bail is actually a really huge deal for people of color. People of color have actually died in jail from not having like $50 to get out. That's how bad it is. So, I mean, he's against for-profit prisons, as he's always been. People like Kamala and Hillary have made money off of them. Free college. I mean, even just Medicare for all. I mean, people can sit there and be like, oh, look at that guy. He has cancer. Oh my God. That's awesome. You should feel sympathy. But if you're going to vote for someone who doesn't support Medicare for all, your feelings don't mean shit. Because if you really felt bad, you'd be trying to help them. And just pitying them is not helping them at all. We need to actually vote in people's best interests. So many people are very, well, it hasn't happened to me, so, well, look at your brothers and sisters, because there are millions of people hurting right now. And I have medical needs. I get that. But I didn't until August. And I've been Medicare for all for years. Because I see people, I work in healthcare. I see people freaking, filing medical bankruptcy. I see people dying because they have to ration their insulin. Like people cutting their pills in half or taking them every other day. Don't tell me you feel bad for that shit and then vote for someone who walks back Medicare for all. No, you don't. It's that simple. Who you vote for says so much about you. Like, there are 24 so-called choices. I have my choice. My choice is the one who I feel is fighting for humanity. That's my choice. I mean, at the end of the day, you're the one who has to live with yourself. But this is absolutely the most important election of our lifetime. I know that gets said a lot, but it is true. This will determine the future. And if they pick someone like Biden, who is Hillary, we're getting Trump again. There's no way in hell Biden can win against Trump. It's not going to happen. Not a chance. And people keep pushing him. I made a post yesterday on Twitter that said something like, I refuse to vote for a racist Republican who can't keep his hands to himself, a racist Republican warmonger who can't keep his hands to himself, and then ... or Trump. Because Biden, if you look at the stuff he said, I'm telling you, it's Trump. It's actually scary. If you write comments, if you actually type out the things Biden has said and asked whether it was Biden or Trump, I guarantee you people would think it was Trump. He has said so many egregious things. And if they cheat, I don't know. If they cheat his ass again, I hope he just says, fuck you, I'm running independent. I hope he does. If he doesn't, that's his call. I'm going to be livid, but I know what I'm going to do. And that's march at the fucking convention again. To him, that's him. He's going to do it. He's a grown man. But I'm in control of myself and I'm not going to fucking stand for it. So unfortunately we can only control ourselves and, who knows? I don't know. But, I'm still really trying to remain at least somewhat hopeful. Like at least as much. But yeah, so check out my Twitter timeline if you guys want to see some of the videos of what Biden has said. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. He brags about Delaware being a slave state, which is just so offensive and bizarre. He brags about being a proud Zionist. He's just very... Oh, and he was Mr. Grabby Hands with a little girl again yesterday. I mean, and I will say this though, yesterday when he pulled a girl with who was 10 years old. He pulled her up out of the audience and said, I bet you're as smart as you are pretty, or something like that. And it was just gross. It was so gross. And yes, Lynn, I did notice that some of Bernie's signs turned green. Biden, he said this about the 10-year-old girl, like about the way she looks, and it was just gross. It was so gross. Like, who says that? And then he had his hands on her and he was like leaning and like whispering in her ear. It was so gross. And like, even, I'm not even going to be like, oh, he's a pedo. I'm just saying, you were just called out a month ago about not understanding personal space. And you said you would be more conscientious of it. And you're literally holding her. It's so disturbing. And, you see people in the comments and are like, he's just a grandfather. Listen, if that was Trump, you'd be flipping your shit. If that was Trump, you'd be marching in the streets. That's it, Crystal. Bet you are as smart as you are beautiful. So disturbing. He doesn't get it. He's so inappropriate. And to me, it's not even, people say there's nothing sexual. It's not about being sexual. It's about being inappropriate. If it were anyone else, people would be losing their mind. He is incapable of learning. It was called out. He never apologized, mind you. He has made the statement, I'm not sorry for anything I have ever done. He was like, if you can't even change your shit when you're running for president, no. He scares the living hell out of me. He terrifies me. Lolita Express, absolutely. And you know what? Epstein Epstein on the plane, when he was arrested, they had all the writings from the FBI of Epstein's trip, and people were like, oh, I want you to those to come out. Hey, guess what? Clintons are going down if they come out, because I don't know if you really want those coming out, because the Clintons rode, well, I know Bill supposedly flew 11 times and Hillary 3. So shit. I mean, bring those reports, because they will be hilarious. Then watch them all go down. Yeah, independent is interesting, Terry, and that's a really great question. Some states do not give an independent choice on the ballot. However, the thing about running independent is that they technically don't have to vote in the primary. If they're the only independent running, they just go to the general, because they don't have any competition. Now, if Bernie did say, I'm running independent, and they threw someone else in there to run independent, I wouldn't be surprised, because, well, so, excuse me. So anyway, it's a lot to think about. Wow. Yeah, there are a lot of Republicans who find comfort in Biden, and I think that says a lot. Biden is riding the campaign by being Obama nostalgia. That's all it is. What is he offering? He said he's too busy to come up with a healthcare plan. Quote, too busy. One of the number one things facing our country right now, causing people the most pain, is lack of healthcare or unsubstantial healthcare. And he said he's too busy. Dude has literally been holding a couple fundraisers a week. Now, I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, Bernie literally does 6 rallies within 2 days. He's been to over 20 states already. All this shit. And I'm like, and he's still coming out with all these bills and everything and still doing town halls. And Biden doesn't do shit. And the other thing is, after 2016, Bernie never stopped once. He was still doing rallies. He was still doing town halls. He was still meeting with workers. He was still meeting with unions. He was still protesting. He never stopped. Biden's been in retirement and he hasn't made a peep, but all of a sudden he's like everyone's BFF. Well, Biden doesn't believe in free college. He doesn't believe in Medicare for all. He doesn't have time to write a health care bill. He said that, I want to say, I can't think of the exact terminology, but Biden says middle ground on climate change. He said we have to find middle ground. We have 11 years. So I don't know if middle ground means he wants to, he hopes we'll not die for 22 years. I don't know what he means, but he literally said middle ground. The things that people say they care about the most, none of that fits with Biden. Not even lip service wise. He doesn't even try to tell people he's for this shit. He just straight up says no. So it's not even like you could say you're duped. I just hope, oh my God. He scares me the most. Buttigieg scares me the next most, because he is a lover of war. If you watch his tweets and stuff, Buttigieg is a bloodlust. He was a serviceman, and the things he says are disturbing. I worry that he would get us into even more wars. So this whole thing is just so fucked up in so many ways. I kind of wish I could fast forward, because we haven't even done the first debate and it's already such a clusterfuck. The first debate is in about 2 weeks. It's June 15th, and Vegas, right on. And as of now, so Tulsi, a week or two ago, Tulsi made a tweet of typing up something the DNC sent her, which is they only want to have 20 candidates, 10 and 10. And there's 24. So what that means is they said there's a very strong possibility that what they might do is raise the 65,000 individual contributions to 100,000 individual contributions. If that's the case, Bernie's going to be one of the only people up there, because some people haven't even met 65. Tulsi came out and said, I only have 69. So I think they're doing this to actually stifle progressives who have smaller donors. To me, as long as Bernie's good, I'm good. But no, Pete's definitely not good. He has a horrible history in South Bend. He was greatly responsible for a lot of gentrification in South Bend, Indiana. He has made some very racist comments in the past. He is not for Medicare for all. He is not for free college tuition or canceling student debt. He actually has made fun of people who protest and do like volunteer work. I interviewed one of the people he made fun of and shamed. And I interviewed the woman who ran for his seat for mayor, a Black woman, Bernie delegate, freaking awesome school teacher. He did something called 1,000 Homes in 1,000 Days, and her homes was one of the ones that got demolished. It was bad, and so the 1,000 homes got demolished, and he made this grandiose things like, oh, okay, well, you know what, we're gonna plant flowers there, and we're gonna it'll be a community garden, and it'll be like a playground and stuff. No, there's still literally dust. It's just empty lots still. And this was years ago. He fired the only Black police chief that South Bend has ever had. And he actually there were 3 white police officers who were accused of saying racist epithets to this Black police chief. And instead of investigating the 3 white racist cops, he fired the Black police chief. Now, there are tapes of this, but they're under investigation. Yeah, Jenna, yeah. Yep, that was him. So yeah, definitely look into more about him. There's also, I read a really just very upsetting article the other day. One of my viewers sent it to me about there was a Black woman who lived she's still there in South Bend, and her son, who was 17, Black young man, was found hanging from a tree. She begged Buttigieg to help. What can we do? I'm telling you, my son is not suicidal. I'm telling you, something happened. He was being bullied at school. He was being called the N-word. All of a sudden, he's hung from a tree. She begged Buttigieg. His office just kept calling, writing. He never got back to her. And, this is a woman who lost her son. He's a mayor of a town. You're not that busy. This is, this kid's being called. So, like, the way I see it is, whether it was murder or suicide, whoever's calling this kid, the N-word and bullying him and stuff, it still needs to be addressed, regardless. But this woman's hurting, and she is asking for your help. So it was heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. And, to see, she said, when I saw he was running for president, I couldn't stop thinking about my son. And if he can't do that in a town, how is he going to help the country? And it was heartbreaking. Again, I have, all this stuff on my Twitter as well. But yeah, that article just absolutely broke my heart. I'm thinking about trying to reach her to have her on, but I really don't. I don't know if I want to stir up all that emotion in her to ask her on my show, because I'm sure doing the article was hard enough. The article was from last week. It was recent. So I don't know. I have to give it some more thought. The last thing I'd want is for her to come on here and talk to her for an hour and have, old wounds just opened up. So I'll have to think about that. But her story was heartbreaking. Anyone who goes through that is, it's just awful. But yeah, so definitely look more into Pete. He's not a good person, and he doesn't have experience. He actually ran for treasurer and lost. Who's your third choice, Devin? Yeah, seriously, she's a hero for speaking up. She really is. No, I never would have heard of it. Absolutely. And shout out to the viewer who sent me that article, because yes, there's definitely resources all over my Twitter. Also, just go to Google and type in Pete Buttigieg and gentrification. 10 articles will come up, I guarantee you. There's one article from with a young African American man who says the title is something like "I Ain't Never Seen Him," because they're talking about how they, have been hurting, they've been needing, food and clothing and jobs and stuff, and he says, I've never seen him before. I've never seen him around. So I think that says a lot when you're mayor and of one town. I feel like, shouldn't you at least do like Senate or House or something first? Yeah, definitely look into him. He's just not, and also, he is very, very fond of Israel, and he has disrespected Palestinian people so many times. He has defended Israel from the physical attacks on Palestinians. It's just been gross. He's my second to Biden, the one I fear. He has a definite war mentality, which is the last thing we need right now. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. But thank you guys for watching. Ron Placone hit me up last night. He would like to come back for like the 5th time, I believe it is. So he'll be coming on Tuesday. 8 p.m. Eastern. He's working on something for net neutrality that he wants to promote. Yeah, he has a national service program, which is so terrifying. Sorry. Definitely look that up as well, because it seems kind of fascist. But yeah, so Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. However, I may go live with a rant or two before then, seeing as, breaking news, all that fun stuff. But yeah, check out Ron. That's my bud. So we always have a good time. So thank you guys so much for watching. You're amazing. And thank you for all the kind words. I will see you guys next time. Much love.